guys, my name is Itimi and you're welcome to another episode of Founders Connect. Here I have conversations with amazing founders and operators of African startups. Today I'm in Nairobi. I'm so excited. It's my first time in Kenya, and in the next couple of videos I'm going to be interviewing founders and operators of startups here in Nairobi. Now my very first person I'm interviewing, her name is Florence, and she's the regional marketing manager of YellowCard. YellowCard is one of the most amazing crypto companies in Africa, and she manages the whole of East Africa. That's Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, and Rwanda. Exactly. And I'm really excited. Why? Because one, I want to interview more women on this show. Two, I'm interviewing someone who's also a marketing person and who has risen to like a regional marketing manager level, and I think that's really amazing. So I'm excited for you to hear her story and also hear more about what YellowCard is doing. So stay and watch this video to the end. Now, let's be friends.
Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Itimi, a change maker, professional, and creative who is passionate about growing people and growing businesses. Like, comment, subscribe to my channel, and please always share my videos. It promises to always be impactful and insightful.
Hi, Florence.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you for agreeing to do this with me. I'm very excited to hear your story.
Happy to, and welcome to Nairobi.
Thank you.
Asante sana.
Asante. Yeah, that's thank you, Swahili. Okay, so let's get right into it. Just tell me about yourself, like growing up, your background. I like to just know about like where you come from, because that gives me a bit of like understanding your essence. So anything you can share about your childhood, growing up, your early days of school.
So I'm Kenyan, born and raised. I grew up in up country, what we call shags. In Kenya, just basically means you're not born and bred in Nairobi.
Right.
I think I had a very typical Kenyan childhood growing up. I think a lot of people, you go to school, you live up country, everybody. Sometimes even go to school barefoot. So I didn't really know that there was much outside of how we lived. And then when I grew up and I got to maybe like 8, 9, that's when I came to Nairobi to visit my relatives and our cool cousins. And
cool
you get the cool ones. And then you get exposed to a whole different world. Television, for example. I don't think I watched TV growing up. That wasn't a thing for us. Yeah, that wasn't a thing for us. Probably only spoke English after my primary school, or Swahili for that matter. So I think that's how I grew up. And then once we discovered, Nairobi, and you go to high school and university, the rest is history.
Awesome. So tell me about university. What did you study?
I studied journalism, so print. So because we grew up reading, so next thing is writing. So I think I didn't know what I wanted to be when I went to school, to be honest. And I think in Kenyan school system, there's always the question, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Everywhere,
it was doctor, engineer, doctor, engineer, lawyer, pilot, lawyer, and teachers. And the rest of us is like,
teachers was a thing here.
Oh, it was a thing there.
Yeah.
And I think we say teachers just to make the teachers happy. I don't know. But I think when all those things were said, there used to be, nothing feels right for me at that time. But when you're a kid, you don't understand. But when I went to secondary school, I was like, there has to be something else. I fell in love with English, and I think that just became like the books, and I used to study the dictionary. Like every time I'd be like, what is this word? What is the word for the day that I'd try and
so at what point
learn and use it?
Yes, sir. At what point did you then move from like pursuing a career in journalism to marketing? What was that?
After college, I got a job with NTV. That's like a leading television TV in the country, and I did it for a couple of months, but then I was like, this also doesn't feel natural. But I said, I left and I got an internship as a social media intern at an NGO or some sort of a startup. And I think after that, I was like, okay, I think I found it. This is what I want to do, creating content, running websites. I just had a natural knack for it. So I started, and here I am.
Yeah. So, I mean, before YellowCard, what would you say? Because you have an extensive career. I'm looking through your LinkedIn. I'm seeing like 15 different experiences. So And which of them would you say have been like the key milestones? Like, oh, this job was very critical to the person I've become in this my role at this point.
I think it's my first proper job at an e-commerce platform that was called Rupu in Kenya. That was the first e-commerce startup or company in Kenya and in Africa, because it expanded, and it's now what even has become like Pulse. Pulse is everywhere. So that's where, because I joined in as a customer service person, so that's when I was able to grow. They gave me the opportunity.
So you went from social media intern?
I went to social media intern. I got my first job as a customer service rep at a startup, and the good thing with startups is they allow you to work yourself up. So I became again social media community manager at Rupu, extended to Ringier, and then by the time I was leaving 4 years in, I was the marketing lead for Ringier.
How long did you spend at Ringier?
I was there for 4 years.
Right, so were you part of like, because I know Ringier in Nigeria also manages Pulse.
Yes.
So was that kind of what you were doing, or it was the agency side of?
I was doing the e-commerce and the class. So the e-commerce was rupu.co.ke. It has now shut down. And then also Pigiami, which is still in existence, and then it's a classified platform. The rest came after. I think, like, for example, Pulse Kenya was born out of Rupu when Rupu shut down.
What would you say was the most important lesson that you learned in Ringier?
Patience. The good old patience. Because I spent 4 years in a startup is a long time. Because every day already feels like 7 years. But I think I had like a very clear vision of what I wanted to do by the time I left Ringier. And I had to kind of consistently work at it, starting from the customer service to social media to performance marketing manager, and then all the way to leading the team. So every day I had to remind myself there's a bigger goal we're working towards, and I kind of had to be patient and earn my way up the corporate ladder, if I may call it.
That makes sense. So why did you finally leave Ringier? Was it that you like, I've done 4 years here, I've played my time, or there was a better offer? What was the...
I think my former manager at the time opened like an agency, and I needed a break after 4 years. So he said, do you mind coming in and being a consultant for me? It was a good opportunity to build a team, especially a digital strategy or digital marketing team at the agency. So I jumped ship, and in a year I was like, okay, I'm ready to go back to formal employment.
And where did you go? Was that when you moved to
That's
YellowCard?
when I moved. No, that's when I moved to Microsoft.
Oh Tell me about Microsoft and leaving Microsoft for another startup.
I know.
Because I mean, Microsoft is one of the biggest companies in the world, and you get in and...
I know. I think that it still shocks me that I say I worked for Microsoft. I mean, for a girl who didn't grow up knowing what they wanted to be, and to end up there still shocks me, to be honest. But I joined Microsoft maybe 4 years ago as a social media manager for the East Africa region. So I was
the
managing
whole East African region.
Yeah, the whole East Africa region, but then also that with time that expanded to maybe 75 countries. So I was working across Middle East and Africa with a team of maybe 15 people. So it used to be called, it is still the Social Media Command Center. I think it's one of the greatest social media team or outfits that exists, in my opinion. So to be able to work, it's just how, because Microsoft is a big brand, right? And there are ways you do things. And we're a remote company. At the time, we're working from different companies across the world, countries rather across the world, people you'd never really met outside of, the laptop. But for us to be able to gel and achieve what we were able to achieve, I think it was an amazing part of my career, and I think that has really shaped me too.
What are you taking out of your experience from Microsoft, or what have you taken out of that experience?
It's possible. Anything is possible. Anything is really possible. I think you're told to, have a picture in your mind of where you want to be, but I think there's room for, if you're diligent and if you're you do your job, right? And you keep an open mind, anything is possible. And say yes. Even when you're scared, just say yes. Because I said when I was interviewing for the role, I was scared shitless. Is that?
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. I was super scared and I was very intimidated, but I think there was that thought at the back of my mind that there's just people like you, go for it.
Yeah. I really, really like that.
Yeah.
Okay, and so my question, why did you leave, not why did you leave Microsoft, why did you join YellowCard? What was it about the company that made you say, yeah, I think I want to try this at this time in my career?
I think I always want to make sure that whatever area of life I'm in, I'm growing. I think growth and transformation is very big for me, and it's a key motivation for anything I do. So at Microsoft, I felt that I'd almost sort of hit the ceiling and I couldn't see the next step beyond. And I really also wanted to move from just social to just overall integrated marketing.
Right.
And the thing is, with startups, there's a bit of grace for you to learn and to grow. So when the the YellowCard team approached me, it was tough because it's also a crypto company, and we all know what people think about crypto. I was like, this is the next big thing. So there's an opportunity here for me to dig in, learn about crypto, and also just make some important things happen. So that was a motivation. I talked to the team; they were very fun. I believed in the mission and the work that they're doing. And I was like, I want to be a part of this.
Tell me about this mission. For people who don't know, what does YellowCard do, and just a bit about the company, really, or the product. So we are a crypto exchange. Basically, we allow people in Africa to be able to buy and sell crypto, and I think what's important to me is even like our mission is financial inclusion for all. I think forget about crypto, like it's just money. The basics of money it's not very accessible to everybody in Africa. A lot of people don't even know how to budget, right? You're too busy making money and making ends meet. You don't know that, hey, maybe if I treated money differently or I understood it differently, there are other opportunities out for me. So we're very focused on making sure that people, educating them about money, how you can make it, how you can use it, how you can invest it, and also that obviously falls within crypto as well. Makes sense. So how many countries in Africa does YellowCard operate in? How many cryptocurrencies? How many users? Share some fancy numbers for us.
Okay, so we are currently in 15 countries
in
across the continent. Among them, obviously, the East Africa region, SADC, West Africa. We are everywhere, and our mission is we would like to grow in the next couple of years to every country in Africa. We have 3 coins or cryptocurrencies at the moment, so Bitcoin, USDT, Tether, about 1 million users across the continent, and we're really working hard to make sure that number keeps growing.
That's very exciting. I know that you guys raised some money, I think, a couple months ago.
Yes, we recently, mid-last year, we raised 15 million, our Series A. One of our investors was Jack Dorsey.
The Twitter guy. That's dope.
It's stamp of approval in a sense. I think it's important for us to continue to do the work we're doing, and obviously money is a big part of that. We are now at 150 employees, majority of them Africans. I think maybe only the founders and a few more people are American, but the rest of us is African. So we're building a really African or local company. That's very, very excited.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Tell me about what being the regional marketing manager for East Africa. You're managing like 4 countries, right?
Yes.
5.
Yeah.
What does that look like? What's your day-to-day like? What's the work?
I think the title is more fancy than the work. It's not as glamorous as it sounds. It is a startup, and it basically means being able to figure out how do we keep growing the company in terms of users that use our platform but also transact. Come onto the platform and transact, but more importantly, educating people about crypto. I think that takes the biggest part of my role, just creating awareness. We have to figure out how do we break crypto into dumb it down almost. And I'm not crypto native. I don't know if I've just coined that term, but I'm learning. So I use myself as the use case. I'm like, how can I break crypto to myself to understand it? So I think my job is making everybody, especially in my markets in East Africa, to understand the crypto and the opportunities that it presents.
Yeah, tell me about maybe the complexities or the challenges or the uniqueness, whatever the word would be, of the East African market. So I mean, I grew up in Nigeria, so I'm very familiar with like the West African market, with Nigerian market, but like I'm just wondering, like, what does it mean to like be a marketing person in East Africa? What are the nuances that you typically have to bring into your work on a day-to-day?
Yeah, I think, and I could be wrong about this, but I think skepticism, especially when it comes to crypto, Kenyans and East Africans in general don't just do something because you tell them to, you know. There are also ways you can speak to them, right? I think the East Africans in general like to know that we are represented, we feel heard and understood. Like, for example, I can't make content in Kenya and then take that content and use it in Uganda.
Right.
Somebody will be very quick to say, why is a Kenyan selling anything to me, right? And they should ask those questions. So it's making sure that is what you're doing local enough.
Right, so localization and representation
is and representation. And we always want to see ourselves in, you know, whatever it is, the content we are consuming. So I think that's a big thing, and also understanding that, because I think once we put the countries in one class and say that's East Africa, a lot of people just imagine that we are all the same, we eat the same food, we speak this. No, even one country, like for example Kenya, we have 42 tribes, or we have people who live in different towns or parts of Nairobi. You cannot speak to them the same way you speak to everybody else. So I think that's the toughest thing, but also the most exciting thing when you get to create content in Kenya, Rwanda, in Rwanda, and you see how people receive that. When you get to go to Uganda and you use the local people or people on the ground, I think it's exciting, it's challenging, I will not lie, but it's interesting.
That's very good. Thank you for that. I just stole some tips from you on how to market to the East African market. Just learning about your career, one of the things I've seen is that you've moved roles a lot, right?
Yeah.
Starting from social, then customer service, then back to when you were at Ringier, doing like a bunch of different things like performance marketing and integrated and branding, and you went to Microsoft and you went back to social, and now I think from what I've heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, your role is a lot of education on content and campaigns, and maybe not very heavy on like performance marketing and social anymore. So like, as a marketing person and just this experience, what would you say has been what has made it easy for you to be able to move across different roles or have different skill sets that then comes in handy when you're in a particular job?
I think there's a lot that goes into that. One, there has to be an internal drive or a self-drive, like this is what I want to do, and you kind of have to work up for it and show up for it. But also people, right? So I don't think I would be where I am today if my former bosses and my current bosses don't believe in me and open the doors. So I think those would be two things. It's me wanting to grow and communicating that to whoever is able to open that opportunity, and then them being willing to say, I see what you've done here, and I believe you're sweet. Like for example, my current role. I remember when I interviewed with it, because yes, they find you on LinkedIn, but then you still have to interview.
Of course.
I wasn't convinced at all. But then the CMO, John, the YellowCard CMO is John. I think he said, let me just get on a call with you. And I was still very hesitant, but once we got on the call, I was like, you know what, I'm sold. Because he was able to say, because I went from regional social media manager to regional marketing manager.
Right.
So he must have believed in my abilities or capabilities to do the job, right? Not many people would give you that opportunity.
It's true.
Not many people will give you that. So it's people, but also yourself. Yeah.
So self-drive, but also just speaking up and just hoping. Because I can't say be with the right people. Sometimes you have to just hope and pray that the companies that you work with and people that you work with.
Yeah, you have to leave some room for faith.
Leave some room for faith. That's a very good way to say it.
Yeah.
So earlier you spoke about when you were speaking about what YellowCard does and how it's a crypto exchange. One of the things you mentioned is that you guys are very particular about financial inclusion, and you also talk about money. But money aside, as the other currencies, how are you helping more people understand crypto?
I think we're trying to, first of all, change the narrative about crypto or around crypto through education, right? We have a learning portal or platform called YellowCard Academy. Anybody can go there. We don't require you to do anything other than just go, search YellowCard Academy, and you can get enough resources to educate yourself, whether you're a beginner or a bit advanced in your crypto journey. So it's available for free resources that anybody can access and learn about crypto. Make an informed decision before you start dealing with it. We're also really, like, for example, I think just 2 weeks ago we launched billboards, the first ones in the country. It was a bit scary, but we have to be bold. We have to be bold, and also we're now even on radio, right? Just sensitizing people and informing and educating people about crypto. Like, number one, it's not illegal. It's not illegal. It's not a scam. Like, we exist. We are a proper company, faces behind it. And I think and we've seen like the reception around that. People are very curious and interested and getting on board. So the only missing link is there was no one bold enough to go ahead and have the conversation openly. So as YellowCard, we've decided, let's do that, not just in Kenya, but across the continent. Yes, and make it mainstream. Yes. There's a long way to go, but we have to start. Yeah.
That's amazing. So I have two final questions for you, and I'll ask both. I think I said just before the interview that I'm really excited. One of the reasons why I'm excited to have this conversation is with you because you're a woman and I'm biased, and I say that with my chest because look at me. But it's also because I've done at least 40 of these videos, and just knowing that. Obviously there's my path of the work, which is actively looking for and reaching out to women, but also just knowing that in the sea of actually searching for and finding out, there's a lot more men in the industry. And I'm talking tech in general, I'm not just talking tech or crypto. What are your thoughts about, not your thoughts really, I think it would be, what would be your advice to more women? Because one of the things that I know now is that even as we tell more stories and people do really great work and people see you do your work and people, look at different crypto companies, they're raising money and they check their profiles and see, oh, some women are working there, more women, more females are getting interested in tech. But they also don't know what's waiting for them. So for someone who's a woman and wants to build a career in tech, especially as a marketer, and I say this especially because, again, when people think tech, they think developers and they think product designers, and I've had to fight and struggle and just be very deliberate about my visibility for people to take me seriously as a marketer, to take marketing talent. So for women who are not just I want to build a career in tech, but I'm passionate about marketing, and I know there's a place for marketing. How do I then, pursue this marketing career in tech? If you have any advice for them at all.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because marketing is also looked at as a soft women thing to do, right? But then you go into meetings or to conversations and then it's full of men. And you're like, oh, I thought it was a women thing. We kind of also have to change about the conversation around some of these careers. For example, marketing. It's not, if you're not a woman in STEM, I don't think people get as much recognition or credit, because even in fintech or in tech in general, and as an ex-Microsoft, the conversation is always women in STEM. right? And it's okay to encourage, girls to get into sciences and tech and all that. But also there are other things that you do, but they don't make you less of a person. Doesn't mean they require less drive and work and or you're less ambitious. But what I would say is, especially for us who now are there, pay it backwards, right? Look back, reach out to somebody, put yourself out there, because we're very shy also to, as women, sometimes to just, or maybe we're intimidated, or we feel like it's not our space to have these conversations and brag about what you've done.
Yeah.
But if you're bold enough to brag or talk about what you've done, somebody else is watching. I think when I started in RUP, it's interesting because as I met some friends there. Today, they are the managing directors of, companies, and not small companies, they're the product managers of, big tech companies. And we kind of surrounded ourselves with each other and have like monthly meetings where we encourage ourselves and say, keep going. Even if the room is full of men, just stand up, raise your hand. Eventually, the walls break and you won't notice as much. I'm just off attending the Africa Tech Summit, where there's YellowCard, and you will see a lot of men. But I think the number of women, because this is probably my third to attend, I'm seeing a lot more women than I have.
Really?
Yeah, and they're driving the conversations, they're building companies, they're doing amazing work. But when you see them and you talk to them, you get a bit more inspired and get more bold. Yeah.
That's amazing. I've learned a lot from this conversation.
I'm glad.
I would try to reiterate some of the things that really stuck. I think the first one was talking about patience.
Yes.
And just like, regardless of how far you've come or whether you're just starting, like to be the career that you love, patience is required. To grow and, to do great stuff, patience is required. It's also to talk about just being bold in your strategies and being bold and say, hey, we want to take this mainstream, we want to get these users, and sometimes we just have to do risky stuff. That's stuff people have never done before.
Yes.
That's really brilliant. Also to talk about just how important localization and representation is in African markets, especially where you can't just put everybody together, say, well, you're Africans, just markets for all of us, or it's all East African together. But it's also just the last thing that you said, where you just mentioned for women, it's also about community and being able to reach out and say, hey, there are more people who I can help and I can support and I can mentor them, and there are other people who are my peers that we can come together and just encourage ourselves. And when we sit in rooms where there are more men, it can get scary.
It is scary.
Yeah, but we can, to say, I'm here.
Hey.
And the more you do that, the bolder you get and the more comfortable and more room you make for other women to get in there.
I think it's Michelle Obama who says just bring a seat for yourself.
Yes, exactly.
Like, don't wait to be given a seat, just bring it, sit on it. And it might be uncomfortable in the beginning, but eventually you're like, I belong here. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. This was a very lovely conversation.
Thank you for having us. This is amazing. I hope we speak to you soon again.
Yes, same here. So guys, I'll put the link for YellowCard in the description below. Go download them if you're interested in crypto. If you're interested in learning about crypto, check out the academy. But hey, thank you so much for watching this video to the end, and make sure that you don't leave this channel without subscribing. I'll see you in another video. Peace out. Bye. No, sorry, Ashanti. Ashanti.
I'll take that.
Thank you so much. All right, guys. Bye.